Hello everyone, welcome to the first show of Digital Leaders of Tomorrow. This is Srikapati from Telecom Talk, and today we have with us two amazing founders of Apricom. Pramod Gumraj, the founder and CEO of Apricom, and Goharajan Shivakumar, founder and CTO of Apricom. As we all know, Apricom is a B2B technology company and is into network intelligence space. Founded in the year 2016, the company is transforming internet experience for users across India with its artificial intelligence and software-enabled stack. So, this is my first question. What is the idea of this artificial intelligence into the Wi-Fi network? What made you to come up with this idea?
All right. Thank you for having us here, Shri. So we'll give you some brief about our company and why we even got into this kind of solution as such, or a product as such. So primarily, if you look at the last 15, 20 years, it is all about connecting everything and everyone that we are seeing. So people are getting connected. Now, if you look at the last couple of years, last few years, it is all about customer's experience. It is not just having a connection. It is more than having a connection. It is about his experience. The customer is coming into the center. Platforms like OTTs are also coming in. Demands are going up. You can see that education, which is more critical, is being moved to customer homes. So the service providers now have to do more than just providing the connectivity. They have to ensure that people are happy with the experience as such. So having a link alone is not enough. Ensuring their demands are met is the bigger challenge. And that is the problem which Apricom wanted to solve. So we all come from this strong Wi-Fi wireless background from Qualcomm. So we have seen this transformation that is happening over the couple of years in this industry. We have seen how the protocols are evolving, how the customers are also moving up. And during even, we would say it is our first-hand experience where we have seen that it is always a challenge to understand the field. Whenever we may be developing some kind of solutions inside our company labs, but when it transforms to the field, it's also altogether a different arena to play around. This is where we thought we need to have a system which is sitting in the field and ensuring that it is able to adapt to the needs of these customers. And that's how we started Apricom. That was the basis for us to go and bring in the intelligence into the network so that networks can be self-aware, can be self-healing, and they should be able to understand the experience of these end users as such. That's the fundamental idea of what Apricom as such.
Okay, so we see that a lot of Apricom's AI solutions are deployed into leading ISPs and FTTH solutions to improve user experience. Why do you think the quality of experience is taking the center stage?
So if you even look at this interview now, that the question you were asking, we would see a jerk in the video.
Right.
So this is experience. So customers are now prone to such kind of experience glitches. And that is where companies like ours, which is actually measuring the experience, comes into picture. So it is again, it is to do with the demands of what these customers are really looking at and how well we are able to manage these demands. And if you don't manage these demands, customers have a lot of options to now move around. So potentially you would be losing these customers. And that's where the service providers would try to understand their experience with the products like what we provide and ensure that they're able to meet the experience in a better fashion.
So just to add to it, see, managing connectivity was the challenge for ISPs for quite some time, right? But now customers are not calling them for connectivity issues. They are calling them for experience. They are saying that my YouTube streaming is bad, my Zoom connectivity is bad. Now they need a way to understand the experience. So without understanding experience, now they cannot satisfy the customer. So that has become a mandate for ISPs now to ensure that experience is being delivered to them. Now measuring experience, there is no enough tools today to understand how each and every user is actually experiencing, how they are using their applications. So that's where we come into picture. So we try to map the experience with their services and how well the services are received by the end user.
Okay, since you have entered into the industry, how do you think the landscape has changed from then?
So when we really started coming up with this kind of solution where we can understand the experience, everything can be done remotely, or the networks can evolve on its own. it would look like I would not say a sci-fi movie, but it was something similar to that. People were not really inclined to look at things of that nature. Most probably their quickest solution was to send a person to their homes and then start manually intervening into those issues. But this is not going to be a scalable solution. It is something which we have envisioned. As the networks are growing complex, it becomes highly inefficient method of managing these networks in this traditional approaches, and which is where our solutions are now helping them. The reason why we see more and more adoption happening, we could say partially, we could also have to give some credit to things like COVID, which is happening and which is transforming the way people are looking at the businesses as such now. Now, there could be, there were a lot of problems you have seen during these lockdowns where people were not even able to get out of it, forget about going to the customer homes, right? So how do you really ensure these networks are up and running? There is only a letter difference between networking and not working. So you would always end up in the second line if you are not proactive. That is what we have really tried to solve for them.
Another major challenge with these ISPs is right now they want to provide reliable service to millions of homes. Right now, the complaints, since education and work has started from home, the need for better and reliable connectivity is increased drastically. To ensure that they have that reliability, right now they have to send support person if there is an issue. That is quite impossible when you have million homes and you want to make sure that every home has a reliable connectivity, and if there is a service request, people have to run around. And with, as the Pramod was mentioning, right, with COVID, we want to monitor and manage things remotely. So going in person is really an option which is not possible at this moment. So that's where our solution has become much more useful for ISPs, because we can remotely tell where the problem is, isolate where the issue is, and clearly tell them what you can do. So this largely saves them the huge support cost in deploying our solution. That is the transformation which has happened now with Apricom.
Okay, so in the support aspect, like Apricom has transformed the industry. Okay, and one more like important criteria, like if you look at the subscriber aspect, is the churn. So like how is Apricom helping ISPs to overcome the churn?
Again, it is in the similar lines. See, today, let us say you have an issue or I have an issue with any of these. Ideally, we don't want to have an internet experience issue at all, but let us say we have an issue accidentally. So then you have to call the customer support, and they would go through the standard set of questions, asking you, looking at these color of the lights to whether it is powered on, and finally end up at rebooting these access points at the devices, and assuming that things might turn out to be good with a hope. The reason is it's not that they do not want to solve your problem. It is about the kind of availability of the data they have to solve this problem. If we are able to, when a customer support makes a support call, and if you are able to confidently tell him that what is his problem without asking a question, that's a bigger transformation for him. And if you are able to keep his network up all the time, ensure proactively we are able to do something so that the customers are unaffected, or you maintain that downtime lower, that's a transformation for them. So that is what is going to add into their experiences. And potentially, if I am super happy with my network, I know that sometimes networks might go down, but if I see that people are proactively solving these problems and someone is actually attending the case faster enough, before I go home, if my network is up, I'm okay with such kind of network. So that is going to reduce the churn. So that kind of, I would say, assurity that we are able to provide to these customers is a transformation that we brought in, and we are able to reduce the churn as well for these service providers.
The critical data element for churn is the mean time to resolve. So, right. Okay. So with the enough visibility, your mean time to resolve comes down drastically. So you are able to attend your customer faster and quicker and ensure that his service is up and running. That's where the churn rate and the customer retention is going to be higher for your ISPs.
Okay, so basically the SLA time, the time to resolve the complaints, get down for the customer. I think this is also one sort of customer experience improvement for the companies. And if you come to the broadband infrastructure perspective, like a lot of deployment need to be done, and this costs a lot for the OPEX, like operational expenditure would be more. It is known that Apricom is like able to reduce approximately around 70% of the OPEX. Like, how are you able to do that?
See, all these components which we are talking about, like support call times, call center handling times, or the call center support personnel itself are sending people to the field, which we call it as truck rolls. So maintaining that field engineers. So all of these things constitute your OpEx expenses.
Okay.
Also, it is like how well you are able to address these issues. The first call ratios, right? Let's say you have an 100% first call ratio, then it means you don't need to even get into the second, third calls or sending people. So this constitutes into a bigger chunk in their operational expenses, as well as this churn, what we are talking about. Every time you lose a customer, the service providers now has to lay a different network for these new customer homes, acquire those customers, lay the network for the homes. Then post 1 or 2 months, you will start seeing the revenues from there. You also have to install these devices free of cost some places, give them those hardware. So all of this is an operational expense, and anything we are able to reduce here is a big boon as a service provider, if you look at it. And that's the pain points we try to touch, and that's the pain point we try to solve for those service providers.
Like after listening all of this, I'm like so interested to know like what exactly is your user base and expansion plans, geographies and all. So could you please throw some light on that?
So we have around 4 million customer base as such. So again, for you to understand, the problems that we are talking about are not just limited to the home markets. They are also present in the enterprise markets. So our solution caters to both. It's in different flavors, but it does cater to both. So in case of home markets, we directly work with these ISPs. It's a B2B model, which actually translates itself into their NOC or into their support systems, and the benefit goes to the end customers. In case of enterprises, we work with these OEMs directly. Typically, every enterprise OEM would have an NMS systems. So our solution goes as an AI ops solution along with that to these MSPs or the CSPs or any service providers or to the end customers as well. On the whole, we have around operations in 5, I would say deployments in 5 different countries as such. We are now rapidly growing in Southeast Asian market too. We have our channels and go-to-market strategies set up there, as well as next year is going to be big for us. And because we are going to enter in the Europe market, we see an huge potential in that market as well. So all these pain points we want to resolve and then transform that service experience as such to these customers.
All the very best for your Europe expansion plans. And like, since I'm with the right set of people, I'm also like eager to know, like, what is the future of network automation in India?
See, right now, so we started with Wi-Fi because that's where the end user experience really matters. That's where the last mile connectivity is being delivered by the ISP. But we do see that the experience is something which scatters across the network. It is not just limited to the end user. Experience is everywhere, right? So we are now trying to expand ourselves into solutions where we want to take this experience measurement into the entire ISP or CSP networks. So we are also venturing into measuring their smart network elements like switches, SD-WANs within the network. And we are also getting into 5G space, wherein we see that now 5G is more about, again, it is about talking more about AR and XR, which requires more than connectivity. It is all about bandwidth and experience, right? So wherever experience is coming, that's where we are actually venturing into, and we are also having solutions which are targeted towards that.
Okay, so like, is it only in the Wi-Fi space? So initially, is it in the only Wi-Fi space, right?
We started with Wi-Fi. We are basically Wi-Fi experts. We started with Wi-Fi. Okay. Now we are expanding into the other network elements. Okay,
so for a customer, so whenever a customer experiences seamless internet or experience, maybe we can assume Apricon solution or AI is might be there in that.
That's correct.
Right.
Actually, so, when they don't experience issues, you should think that Apricon solution is there.
Okay, so when when we don't have any issues, like that means Apricon is supporting
it. If you are having no experience issue, be assured that Apricon solution is running behind that.
So now I think somewhere in one of the networks we are using now, I think Apricon solution is not there. That's the reason we are seeing a lag.
That's the opportunity we have. Yeah.
Right. And thank you very much for your valuable time. It was a very insightful interaction with you. Thank you for staying with us.